business with me, so they say they can give me clearance if I want it, but I don't want to go in business with them.
They mean
Paul Tyler, Floyd Weston, yeah, very highly placed. Senator Burt By.
why wouldn't you want to go into business with them?
If this device is approved by the Food and Drug Administration, it will have to have a little label on it that says it is illegal to use, transport, sell, etc. this device without a medical prescription. It will have to go up to about $575, which is the base price on the NLS device. The public cannot access it. They'll have to go to some damn medical doctor and get a prescription for it. TENS units, StimTech for example, $500 or $600. Costs them about $5 to build, but the doctors say that unless it costs about $500, it isn't medicine. It will be another ripoff. If it is approved by the Food and Drug Administration, it will not be accessible by the people who want it except at a very high price.
Is there any threshold on having your neurotransmitters stimulated? Is there a degree where it's
Yes, the plateau.
fire too easily?
Okay, the dosage, all of the plateaus have been noticed by most of the workers at between 20 and 30 minutes. 40 minutes is red line. If you go 45 minutes, they begin coming down the other side of the slope. It won't do any damage, but you will undo the benefits. So we recommend that the device be used for only about 20 to 30 minutes a day. If you have a basket case like Peter Townshend, Meg put the thing on him 24 hours a day for the first several days. We think that's overdoing it. That's overkill. Too much medicine is worse than not enough. So in the case of an alcoholic who's into DTs, bedridden, throwing up, really in bad shape, we say 2 sessions, 40 minutes in the morning, 40 minutes at night a day. When the person is more or less back together, we say then cut that back down to 40 minutes once a day. That seems to be enough.
Is the dial on it simply an on-off switch?
It's an on-off in amplitude. You turn it up to the point where it's basically uncomfortable, then turn it down to where it's comfortable. In about 10 minutes, you'll find that you will acclimate, and you'll have to turn it higher and higher. Your body builds up a tolerance to it.
Is there a right or left? Is there a right or left to this?
No, there isn't. It's a biphasic, pure AC. Now, if you're feeling it more on one side than the other, do this. Keep your...
Interestingly, the first one I had a slight sting. I get no sensation from this one at all.
That's the dry one. This one.
Well, you have to dip those.
Dip it in the salt water.
Most people will feel a difference in stimulus on one side or the other, and to prove that it's you and not the instrument, simply turn your head all the way one way and all the way another, and you'll find that the locus will shift. And what you're getting there is an algebraic sum and difference of the myographic, the myoelectric, the muscle tension, plus or minus the AC coming in on the electrodes.
Is that acclimation factor each time you use the instrument?
Generally, if you've been off of it for an hour or two, then it has to redo. You want to wet those, Paul? And
Yeah,
let...
I will, as a matter of fact.
Is it possible after getting rid of an addiction you could become addicted to this?
No.
But it makes you feel so good.
We've had a problem with a few alcoholics who we've gotten off, say, a fifth of scotch a day, and they feel so great that they're panicked, and they'll go back and drink 2/5 to get the same effect that they would on one. We believe that this is the death wish, and since God gave those people free will and they've chosen to anesthetize themselves, that's their choice. But if they want to kick whatever it is, it works. It only works about 45% effectively with tobacco. With Dr. Elizabeth Long's work with heroin, morphine, it's been about 95%. With Valium and Librium, about 95%. The only thing that we can't kick almost instantly is tobacco. That's the most addictive substance known to man.
Who's Dr. Elizabeth Long?
She works with Valerie Hunt and has a practice in the Hollywood area.
She has used this to cure addiction.
Oh, yes. Oh, many doctors have. The history of this is that some doctor will buy 1 unit and pass it around, and then the next order will be for 3 or 4, the next will be for 10, the next one will be for a couple of dozen. So it's a thoroughly tested, viable approach. There's no placebo witchcraft may be in it. The animal studies have proven that. It works.
How does this differ from using acupuncture to cure addiction?
Oh, God. I wish we had an acupuncturist here. It's rapid and it works very effectively, and it doesn't require a doctor with a license to penetrate your skin. Dr. Hunt has been working with people with dyslexia, and she finds that she can resynchronize their left and right hemisphere to the point that for a short while after exposure on some of these devices, the delay lines, if you flash a strobe light at the closed eyes of a child with dyslexia and measure the evoked potential, the photic stimulus that is taken off of the occipital, you'll find that the signal will arrive from this eye at a different time than it will from this. You can see this on an oscilloscope, which means that the optic nerve is not processing that data coherently. But if you put something there that will reset the firing of those neurons so that they're all marching to the sound of the same drummer, the person can read for a while after that exposure without palming, without going through the usual strategies of a person who is unsynchronized. So you can call it a brainwave synchronizer, you can call it a gobbledygook. If it's working, don't fix it.
Well, have you used this on at the other end of human performance, athletes, in improving athletic performance?
Talk to him about this. I think they've got a vast amount of experience. What they did find in the student study at the University of Louisiana, again, this is accessible in the literature, is that they were working on students who had anxiety about final exams. I know, I've been there. Years ago, fortunately. And after they had removed the anxiety, or the freezing, their IQs went up. So the story was spread around for a while that these things improved intelligence. But it turned out that that isn't what was happening. What had happened is that they had restored these persons' memory. Apparently they were then able to access the information in a shorter period of time, and since IQ tests are graded against a clock, they were getting higher scores. So it wasn't intelligence, it was simply memory that had been rehabilitated. And this was controversial from about 72 to 74. There were all these arguments in the literature about why was this person performing better, and the final solution was simply that the memory had been restored. In other words, apparently when the brain is tuned, the neurotransmitters are in balance. If you've ever tried to get any continuity with a heroin user, their attention span is less than that of a hamster in heat. Maybe because the... Okay, what's...
I have a question for you. Maybe it's the devices that I've been exposed to, but it seems that no matter what frequency we've observed, there's a wide variety of reactions. And I don't know if it's the electronic devices or exactly what happens when you input a frequency into someone's body, their brain, how they interact with what's going on inside. And I've had a hard time with this, where if you dial 8 hertz on a device, will people just automatically go into 8 hertz? Because I've seen all sorts of different reactions.
Well, that's a very complex question. In the first place, you cannot run an EEG trace at the same time that you're putting stimulus in, because the EEG is only about 10 microvolts and the stimulus is orders of magnitude stronger, and what you're reading is the device, not the brainwave. In the second place, the devices with which you're familiar don't put out 8 hertz. They put out an 8 hertz pulse repetition rate, which contains an infinite number of odd harmonics because it's not a sine wave, it's a square wave. So what you're doing is very loose. And let's talk about that later. What you have to do is to take a spectrum analyzer, as we've done here, and then find out what the actual fundamental frequencies are that reconstruct your target frequency. You have to look at the other end of the telescope.
Okay, but the point I'm trying to arrive at, okay, let's say with your device, if you were to dial a certain frequency, it didn't have...
You don't. That has amplitude only. We set the frequencies at the factory so nobody can mess with them.
Okay. Are you saying that somebody would, I don't want to use the word be forced to go there, but